welcome to Travel with Book. I'm Bahar and today I'm going to continue the story of Christmas in Peru. This is part 2, and if you didn't see part 1, you can click here and go to part 1. Then come back here and listen to continue our story. Okay, let's go and start the story. At 9 o'clock the next morning, the conductor was ready to begin the rehearsal. He opened his music and the orchestra started to play. Suddenly, his hands stopped moving and the music stopped at once. "Harpist!" the conductor shouted angrily. "What's the matter with you? Are you sleeping? You began to play here." "Excuse me, Mr. Rinaldi," said someone at the back of the room. "The harpist is not here." Everyone turned and looked at the harp at the back of the orchestra. It was true. There was nobody in the harpist's chair. "Well, where's she?" asked the conductor. There was no answer. "We can't wait for her," he said. "We must have this rehearsal without her." "Where is Alan?" "He can speak some Czech." Alan stood up. "Can you go to the hotel and look for her there?" the conductor asked. "Then come back here at once, with or without her." Alan left. Half an hour later, he was back. "She's not at the hotel," he said. "I spoke to 2 or 3 people in the hotel, and they say that Carol wasn't there at breakfast this time. And they think that she didn't sleep at her room last night." "I don't like this," said the conductor. "Carol is never late for rehearsals, and she knows that these concerts are important for us. I think we must tell the police." "Shall I do it now?" Alan asked. "Yes," said the conductor. "Please go now." Chapter 4. Nobody understands Carol. Carol slowly opened her eyes. Her head hurt. She closed her eyes again. A man said something. What was it? "Carol," she heard. "Carol, can you hear me?" "I can hear you," Carol said, "but I don't want to open my eyes. My head hurts. Who are you?" "It's me, Rinaldi, the conductor of the orchestra." "Mr. Rinaldi?" Carol opened her eyes again. Her head didn't hurt so much this time. "What are you doing in my bedroom?" she asked angrily. "What's happening?" "This isn't your bedroom," said Mr. Rinaldi. "It's a hospital in Peru. You had an accident yesterday. Can you remember anything about it?" Suddenly, Carol remembered everything. The old town, the Christmas trees and the shop windows, Christmas presents. John, she sat up. "John, where's John?" she asked Mr. Rinaldi. "Please, Mrs. Welch," said the woman quietly. "Don't get excited. Lie down again." Carol turned her head. It hurt again. Near the door of the room, she saw a woman in a white coat, a doctor. "But I must see John," Carol said. "Where's he? I must find him. I can't. Oh dear." She put her hand to her head. "Who's John?" the doctor asked Mr. Rinaldi quietly. "Her husband," he answered. He took Carol's head. "Listen, your husband is coming. We told him about the accident. He's on a plane from London now." "On a plane? Why?" "He's here in Peru. I saw him in the street near the old town. I called out to him, and he saw me, but he didn't stop. He just walked away from me. Please find him, please. I must talk to him. I must." The doctor moved nearer to the bed. "John is coming soon, Mrs. Welch," she said. "Please don't get excited. It's not good for you." Now lie down again and close your eyes. You must sleep, and I know you are feeling very tired." Carol lay down and closed her eyes. The doctor was right. She was tired, but why didn't they listen? Why didn't they understand? John was in Peru, and she must find him, talk to him. The doctor looked at Mr. Rinaldi and spoke very quietly. "Let's leave her now, please. She needs to sleep. You can come back later." Mr. Rinaldi and the doctor left the room. They closed the door quietly and then looked at Carol through the window in the door. "She's going to be all right," said the doctor. "She just needs to sleep for a minute." "There is nothing wrong with her." "Yes, there is." "And Mr. Rinaldi?" "She thinks her husband is in Peru, but I spoke to him on the telephone 3 hours ago, and he was in Oxford. I'm afraid she's ill, very ill." "Listen," said the doctor. "She had a bad hit on the head in the accident, but she didn't break anything, and her head is all right. We looked at it very carefully. She's going to be okay after a good sleep." "But all this talk about John, her husband," said Mr. Rinaldi. "What about that?" "Yes, she's confused about that, it's true, but she remembers her name, she knows you, and she understands that she's in hospital. All this is very good. Now, what about you, Mr. Rinaldi? It's a difficult time for you too, because of your concerts. I understand that. But please go away now. Eat something, have a sleep, then come back later this afternoon. You can't do anything now." "All right," said Mr. Rinaldi, but he was not happy. "Poor Carol," he thought, "and my poor orchestra. Now, how can I find another harpist before tonight's concert?" Chapter 5. Some visitors for Carol. 2 hours ago, and later, a tall man arrived at the hospital. He asked to see the woman in yesterday's street accident. He didn't know her name. The doctor came downstairs. "Who are you?" she asked the man. "My name is Pavel Bridgta. I saw the accident and I called the ambulance. Is the woman all right? I just want to know that. I was afraid she was dead." The doctor smiled. "Would you like to see her?" "She's much better now." "Yes, please," answered Pavel. "Then come with me." They went upstairs in the lift and walked along to Carol's room. At the door, they stopped and looked in through the window. "She's sleeping," said the doctor. "But she looks well," said Pavel. "Yesterday she looked so white, I was afraid for her." Just then, Carol opened her eyes and saw a man through the window in her door. She sat up. "John!" she shouted. "John!" "Oh dear," the doctor said. "Not again. She hit her head in the accident and she's confused about something. She thinks that you are her husband from England." "Shall I go?" asked Pavel. "Perhaps it's better, yes," answered the doctor. She went into Carol's room and closed the door. Pavel walked slowly back to the lift. Then the lift door opened and a man ran out with some beautiful red flowers in his arms. He looked at the numbers of the rooms and then went quickly into Carol's room. He didn't see Pavel, but an older man came slowly out of the lift next. He saw Pavel and stopped suddenly. Pavel stopped too. "I'm sorry," said the old man. My eyes aren't very good. I thought you say you look. Yes, I know, said Pavel. I saw your friend. He's not my friend. He's my son. Please tell me, what is your name? Pavel Brichta. The old man looked very afraid. His face went white, and his mouth opened and closed. But he said nothing. Now Pavel was afraid. You don't look very well, he said. Would you like to sit down? And shall I call a doctor? There is a doctor in this room here. Please, said the old man. My son isn't that true. Please take me to him. Pavel took the old man's arm. In Carol's room, John put the red flowers on the bed and took his wife's hands. Oh, my love, are you all right? He said. I can't understand it. Why did you run in front of a bus? How did it happen? Carol didn't answer his questions. John? She looked up into his face. You are John? Tell me that you are John. Of course I'm John. What are you talking about? The doctor came up to the bed. Wait a minute, she said. You told me that your name was Pavel Brichta. Are you Mrs. Oleg's husband or not? Just then, Carol looked behind John. She saw Pavel with John's father through the window of her door. Her eyes got bigger and bigger. Who is that? She said. John and the doctor turned and saw Pavel. My God, said John. I don't know. The doctor looked back at Jane's face. Two men, but only one face? She said quietly. Then John's father opened the door of Carol's room and the two men came in. John stood up. He looked at his father. Who is this man? He asked. His name is Pavel Brichta, answered his father. Please bring me a chair and some water. I need to sit down before I can answer your question. John got a chair for his father, and the doctor gave him some water. Then she left the room quietly. Who that man can be? Okay guys, in the next video we will finish this story, and I want to say thank you for watching the video until the end. Bye bye!